Hi, this is video number 13 in a series of videos where we're building an FPS game in Unity 2017 for Android mobile devices. Okay, in this video we're going to start to build the player gun, and we're going to set the gun up, and at the end of this video we're going to be able to shoot a ray from the center of our screen, our camera view, and it's going to hit an object, and when it hits the object it's going to instantiate the particles to confirm that we've hit it and that it's working. Okay, so first things first, we're going to need a button on our canvas to shoot our gun. So we can go canvas, UI, create button, okay, and we could just set this up however we wish, okay. 50 by 50 text, and just put shoot. Okay, so this is our little shoot button. You can make it look better later on, and then we'll go Shift Alt, put it at the bottom of the screen, raise it up by 50, change the color so we can see, and there's our button. Good. Okay, so something else we need to do to our button while we're here is we need to use this button to click an event, okay, which will be in our script. So we go add component, type in the word event, and we want an event trigger, and we're gonna then go add new event type, and we're gonna say pointer down. Okay, so when the button is pressed down it's going to do something. We'll make another one which is pointer up, which means that when the button is released it will do something else. Okay, and we'll get to that in a moment. Good. Next thing we need to do is we need to, on the canvas, right click, and then we're going to create a crosshair. So UI image, get your crosshair image, put it there and scale it accordingly. Okay. Good. Okay, so now we've got a button and we've got a crosshair in the middle which we can use for aiming. Great. Okay, now we need something to hit. So let's create 3D object cube and put it so somewhere we can see it. Okay, 5. Okay, there's a cube. Okay, and that's going to be the target that we're going to use to test to see if our gun is working. Right. Now this cube needs to be on a layer, and what I've done is I've in the game I've divided all the different parts of the game objects up and put them onto different layers. Okay, and this layer is for this layer is on the one called can shoot, which means that everything on this layer can be shot. Okay, so let's get the cube and let's put it on the can shoot layer. Okay, yeah. Now if you want to know how to make a layer, you can go add layer here, and you can just type in the name of the layer that you want. Here it's called can shoot. Okay, and I have put this cube on the can shoot layer. Alright, so I know everything on that layer you can shoot it. Good. Okay, so at the moment if we press play and press this button, nothing's going to happen. So we're going to need a gun script. Okay, so let's come back to our player, and on the first person character here you can see there's a camera. Right, we're going to need this camera to determine where the middle of our screen is, and from the middle of the screen we're going to fire a ray outwards, forwards into the game, and whatever it hits, if what it hits is on that can shoot layer, then it's going to instantiate some particles. So let's get that to work. So on here, on this first person character, right click and create an empty game object and call it gun. This is where our gun script's going to sit. Okay, good. So let's have a look at this gun script. So you create yourself a C script, okay, new C script, and I've called mine player guns. I call it guns because there are multiple types of guns in this game, and so that's the reason for that. Okay, good. So here we've got our gun, and we're going to attach our player guns script to it. Now, before I go through this script, I'm going to, first of all, we're going to need to allocate a particle, because remember, when we hit something and it's on this can shoot layer, it's going to instantiate or create some particles. So let's get some particles. Well, in the prefabs here, to save time, I made some particles earlier. You can create particles by going create effects particles, okay, and you'll get something that looks like this. Points to note here, because we are building for mobile, try and keep the numbers down. Maximum particles is an area that you can reduce. I put it down to 1 in this example. Unity 2017 has got this stop action here. You can choose, and I've chose to destroy, so when the particle's finished, it will destroy itself. Okay. And down here in the renderer, okay, the renderer at the bottom, I've made a point here of putting in a mobile friendly material. Okay, so if we have a look at that, I made a material, and it's a mobile particles additive. So the material, again, because we want to be using where we can mobile shaders. Okay, here I've got mobile particles additive. Okay, it's this one. Good. And quite simply, I've just put an image in there, a texture into there, and that's what I've done. Good. So there's my particles, and what I'm going to do is drag those into my player guns script. Okay, so good. So let's have a look at this player guns script. And see what's happening. Okay, so we have here at the top we've got a float, which is the fire rate. The fire rate is how many bullets or shots it can take per second. Alright, so here it can do every 0.15 of a second it's going to fire. Okay, it's got a range, this gun has a range of 200 units. There's a timer here which makes sure that the fire rate stays at what it is, okay, 0.15. And here is a ball which I use for the button to set to true or false. If it's set to true, it will fire. If it's set to false, it won't. Okay, good. Here I have a camera which I've called FPS camera, first person shooter camera. Okay, alright, so here, and I've got an integer which is the can shoot layer, the layer that I've created over here called can shoot. Alright, we need to get that layer. Good. And the last thing I've put on here is a public game object, which are our particles, which we just looked at a moment ago. Right. So in the start of this game, in Awake, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the can shoot layer. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get our camera. And here it says get component in parent. Okay, in parent. Well, if you have a look here, our gun script is attached to this gun, which is a child of this here, this first person character, which is the parent, and this is where the camera is. So it's this script is getting the camera that's attached to the parent game object of gun. Okay, that's what that means. So get the camera in the parent game object. Good. Here I've got two functions. All right, one of them quite simply says set the ball true to true, shoot to true, and here set shoot to false. Okay, great. Here in an update function, I've put this one in late update. Okay, all right, you can put it whichever you wish, but in this example I've put it in late update. Have a timer, and the timer increases by time.delta time. Okay, And I've said here that if shoot is true, which means that if someone has pressed or activated this function, i.e. pressed the button to shoot, and the timer, the time between shots is greater than or equal to the fire rate, then we're going to shoot. We're going to shoot a ray out, okay, from the center of our screen. So how does it do that? Well, here we have a function called shoot. And as soon as we shoot something, we reset our timer to 0 so that it can calculate calculate the fire rate for us correctly. Then what I've done is I've basically said here, right, turn off all the gun sounds, right? Because I've done this because if we have a very rapidly firing gun and it's playing the sounds over and on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other, it can start to sound quite yes, not so good. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn off all of our existing gun sounds, and then we're going to play a fresh gun sound. Okay, good. So turn any sound off and then start a new sound. Great. Here we have a vector 3. All right, what this is basically what this is going to do. It's going to say, right, the origin of this ray, this position, the origin of it is going to be halfway across and halfway up, 0.5 across and 0.5 up of the camera screen or the camera view. Okay, so that means that what it's going to do is, here's our camera over here, halfway across and halfway up puts us right in the middle. It's going to send a ray from the middle of this camera, okay, regardless of what size the screen is or camera, it's always going to send a ray from the middle. Alright, and that's why we put our crosshair right in the middle. Good. So here we've set a raycast called hit because we want to know what it's hit. So we've got this raycast called hit, and it says here quite simply, if by shooting a raycast forward, yeah, out from the center of the camera, right, by 200, by the range is 200, if it hits something that's on the can shoot layer, right, because we can be hitting this, sending this raycast out, and it might not be hitting things that are on the can shoot layer, it might be hitting things that it can't shoot, right? So we're going to ignore those. So say it again, if this ray that's sent out by 200 units from the center of our camera forwards out into the game, if it hits something that's on the can shoot layer, then it's going to do something. And what's it going to do? Well, it's going to instantiate or create some particles wherever it hits at a rotation called quaternion identity. Alright, that's just a zeroed out rotation. Alright, don't worry about that for now. Good. So that's what our script does. Now just make sure we've saved our script, okay, and we're going to have a look at this over here. So we've attached our script to our gun game object. It's grabbing the camera from the parent. We've got a button now. Now this button needs to join up to this script. So here we come down, remember we made these event triggers, alright, so here we can go pointer down, we can drag our gun in, okay, so okay, you press this button down, going to go to player guns, we're going to shoot the gun. On here, when we release the button, again we're going to go to the gun, we're going to go to player guns, and we're going to shoot gun stop. We're going to stop this gun, right? Okay, good. Okay, right. Last thing I want to say about this script here is again about these sounds. In case you haven't watched the previous video is shows you how to set up the sound manager. Just very quickly, this sound manager is this script here, and the sounds are coming from this one, player gun and player gun stop. Good. So that's where your sounds are going to be coming from. Great. So let's play this game and see if we get the result that we're expecting. So we hit play and we start shooting our button, start shooting our cube, sorry, by pressing the button. And here we have what we expect. So I'm going to move around just to show you that it does work. So if we're shooting over here, it's not hitting anything. Okay, if we turn around here, it hits this. It's instantiating some particles. Over here you can see that the particles are destroying themselves because we set that on the drop down menu, so that's working correctly. Okay, and also we're making the sound, and last but not least what we'll do is just show about this can shoot layer. If we create another game object, maybe a sphere, okay, put that out there, and 5, maybe 5. Okay, here's a sphere, just to show you about these layers, to show you that they are significant, okay, and important. So here, this layer, this sphere is not on the can shoot layer, so we can't shoot it. So let's just check whether our script is working, because obviously we need to check everything before we move on. Right, so our game is playing. We can move around, start shooting. Okay, that's on the can shoot layer. This is not on the can shoot layer. Now it's firing and making a sound, yeah, but because it's not on the can shoot layer, it's not going to instantiate some particles. So that is all working. Great, thanks very much. Hope you learned something, and please subscribe to this channel. And in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to create something called an enemy health script, which means that we're going to, when we shoot this cube, we're going to say, okay, this cube has a health of 10 or 20 or whatever it is, and we have to shoot it 10 or 20 times to destroy the cube. Great. Thanks again, and see you in the next video.